Congresswoman Boebert for her questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today we're here to conduct some oversight on the Biden administration's policies that are regulating our communities into poverty. The Biden administration's all-out war on domestic American energy has resulted in record-high inflation crisis that has shifted the cost of Joe Biden's multi-trillion-dollar spending spree to the American taxpayers. While my colleagues on the other side of the aisle want to play the blame game, they seem to be pointing the finger at everyone but themselves. It's really unfortunate to hear energy crisis stories, energy poverty stories, where a mother has to choose between feeding her family or paying the electric bill. But that's where more than 20 million Americans are right now because of Joe Biden's energy policies that he enforced on Americans January 20th, 2021, where we were energy secure, and he completely surrendered that energy security. This week, House Republicans are pushing back against the left's anti-American, anti-energy policies to pass H.R. 1, to put us back on track towards energy independence and, in turn, reduce inflationary pressures and lower costs for families. Dr. Paul, in your recently released paper, An Economics Case for Restrictive Supply-Side Policies, you advocate for nationalizing the United States oil and gas industry. Do you still agree with that statement?
Yes, in that research paper, we highlight 10 policies that would facilitate
So let me get this straight, Dr. Paul. So you support a communist-style takeover of our oil and gas industry? Because that's exactly what this is, nationalizing our oil and gas industry.
The majority of countries around the globe that have substantial fossil fuel reserves have public ownership of those reserves.
This
so that
is a communist-style takeover, and we've even heard from my colleagues on the other side of the aisle that they never want to invest in fossil fuels and the infrastructure of it here in America again, which is quite alarming. Dr. McPherson, prices for heating American homes rose by more than 27% in the past year. And in my home state of Colorado, we had a very cold winter, which means these increased costs hit even harder for the people that live in my district, in Colorado's 3rd district. Do you think that the Biden administration's proposal to place a ban on gas stoves nationwide will reduce energy prices for people in my district?
No, it's going to force them to, unfortunately, have to purchase a new stove if that were to come to pass.
Yes, and we've seen this administration make other extreme proposals for families concerned about energy costs, including Mayor Pete, who had the nerve to say that families concerned about high gas prices should just shell out $55,000 for an electric vehicle. So we have some politicians saying, you know, just go buy brand new electric appliances. Others saying, completely ditch your car and get an electric vehicle. Now, Dr. McPherson, do you think that simply buying new electric vehicles, as Mayor Pete recommended, is a realistic energy solution for American families living month to month and already struggling to pay their bills?
There are hidden inflationary effects within electric vehicles, which, in the right place, in the right context, for the right people, are excellent. But we have to remember, to fill up an electric vehicle at the moment, it takes about 30 minutes or so to fill up a tank, so to speak. You can get about 170 miles out of that. But if you've got kids, for example, you've got a family, you've got somewhere to be, you've got to be at work, that half an hour is going to add up. Now, if you're trying to transport freight, for example, across the United States, half an hour every time to fill up is going to add up. Now, that's either going to be reflected in workers' wages, because they're going to demand more, because that time and their time should be compensated, so that'll be inflation, or workers won't be compensated for all that time that adds up. There are hidden inflationary effects there we need to think seriously about.
Thank you, Dr. McPherson. And we've seen states like California say that we want to ban electric vehicles by 2035, and then the next week saying, hey, please don't charge your electric vehicles because our grid cannot handle this. You know, with this, There's a lot of talk of decarbonization going on. I'm pro-forest management, which would certainly help with the reduce of carbon emissions that are emitted with the catastrophic wildfires. And I would encourage the witnesses to also just consider the fact that these solar panels require mining to be done in China-owned mines in the Congo for that cobalt where that child and slave labor is being used. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield.
Chair recognizes Congresswoman Brown for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now, I have to admit, I'm a little confused as to why we're having the same hearing again. We held an almost identical hearing just 3 weeks.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Turn on your notifications so every time I put out a video, you can know about it. It'll come up in your feed. Hit that like button if you liked it. And be positive. Peace.